Welcome back to the channel, guys. If you're new here, welcome to the channel. We'll be doing a little update on some shop projects I got on the go here. Some of you might have seen if you follow us on Facebook. I got a new dual sport bike. I got a bike for the $1,000 bike challenge, and we got another little shop project on the go here. There's lots of new things around here. Starting off with this. This is a 2019 CRF 450L that I picked up about a month ago. Nice bike, a little bit boring from factory. I got some pretty serious gripes about this bike, but it seems to be a pretty well built bike. Obviously I haven't gotten much seat time on it because, well, that's the state of the outside right now. But yeah, I got to do a couple mods to it and we'll talk a bit about that. So first off was this bike, when I picked it up, was very restricted. It sounded like a moped and it drove like a moped. It had zero power. My first thought when I went around the block when I bought this thing was, wow, this thing is gutless. So did a bit of research. Obviously, just like all dual sports, you know, originally I was gonna buy a 500 EXC, but they're just unaffordable right now with all the COVID tax going on. But this bike is also choked up just like the rest of them. Maybe a bit more than the rest of them, because this thing is barely drivable in its stock state. The first thing that you got to do is delete this freaking bad boy here. This is about 15 pounds, and this has a cat built into it. It's choking up the bike big time. This bike runs extremely lean from factory. It backfires, it stalls. It's just not a good setup. So what I did was I went out and I bought a Yoshimura RS4, full exhaust, header, and silencer. Second thing you have to do, this is all nice, but if you just do this, you're actually gonna lean the bike out more. You get more backfiring, more stalling. Then you have to buy a Vortex ECU. Mine hasn't come in yet. They take a while to ship. If you're looking at getting one, get one now, because they take, you know, quite a while to ship. The Vortex ECU cleans that all up. It eliminates any backfiring, any lean conditions that you have. It eliminates all the stalling. Another thing that you'll notice on this bike is that when you're driving and you give it gas, you let off the gas, decelerate, and then you hop back on the gas, the bike will lurch forward. It actually jumps forward and kind of makes it look like a rookie driver, and it makes it very hard to drive this bike. Another problem I had with the bike, tank size. Guys, you buy a KTM, you buy any other brand, you're at least getting 3 gallons. This bike is getting 2 gallons. That's the tank. It's titanium. In fact, that tank is lighter than the IMS tank, but this tank here holds 3 gallons, and I really like the look of it. I think IMS did a good job on this one. It's not bulky. I don't like those tanks where your fender or your shrouds become part of the tank, and then, you know, you can't put stickers and you got this big bulky tank sticking out. I think it looks very good on this bike. So that was a couple things I did right off the bat. Another thing that bugged me on this bike was right behind here there's a license plate bracket, and it also has your license plate light on there, and it hung down to about here. Absolutely terrible. It looked horrendous. So I bought this TST Industries tail light. It's integrated, so anytime you put your signals on, it's just half of this light flashes or the other half flashes. It deletes your actual signal lights here, and then your license plate bracket moves to right here. You can buy a license plate light that comes with this. I didn't know that it was a separate part of the kit. I have to order it. It's, you know, $13, but overall it's a pretty cheap kit, and it really changes the look of the bike. And, you know, it's just something I find with Honda, and this is the reason why I've never really... I had Hondas in the past, and I got away from Honda, and here's why. I found that Honda, for a while, was making very dull bikes. They lacked power. They looked kind of, you know, they were a dull looking bike, and I just really wasn't into the Hondas for a while. KTM actually, you know, they made a lot of power. They looked great, and, you know, some of you guys might not agree with me, but looks do matter when it comes to a bike. It's actually a huge factor when it comes to a bike for me. I want a bike that looks good as well as performs good. And when I seen this 450L, it had like the big fender, it had some other stuff, and I'm like, man, that kind of looks terrible. But the overall look of the bike looked pretty aggressive, and I knew that once I deleted all that stuff, that the bike would look a lot better. And I honestly think that this is a great looking bike now. Nice thing with Honda versus, you know, the big orange brand is they actually put an LED headlight. I don't know why that's so much to ask for, you know, when you're buying a KTM at 13 grand, 14 grand. These guys are selling you LED headlights at 10 grand. And it's actually a very good headlight. You don't have to change it. It works great at night, whereas the KTM one, you cannot ride at night with their headlight. And that's huge because, you know, you go buy a Trail Tech LED headlight, you're going to be 600 bucks in the hole. This comes with it from factory. LED headlight, LED tail light, and LED signal lights. But yeah, guys, another problem with these bikes is I've noticed when I first bought it, I had a whole bunch of gas in the bottom end here. When you pull the dipstick, it just reeked of gas. So I looked into it some more. Turns out these things have Kian injectors. Apparently they're pretty bad for them. And when you shut the bike off, the injector will continue to leak into the cylinder, and then it'll leak into the bottom end. And that's bad because if you get enough gas in that cylinder, you crank it over, you're gonna fold that rod in half. Or you get a bunch of gas in the bottom end, you're gonna dry your seals out, and then it's gonna start leaking like a submarine with a screen door. So I just changed the oil in this one. I'm gonna see if it still leaks. Maybe it's just a, you know, a one-off chance, but if not, it's not a huge deal. It's a pretty easy fix. You just gotta pull the tank out. It's right there. It's $100, and you got another Kian injector. And basically, there is no fix for this. You just keep buying injectors until you find one that doesn't leak. That's apparently the thing behind this. So if you guys want to know if you should get a 450L, if you are planning on modifying your 450L and doing these mods, absolutely get a 450L. This is just as good as a KTM. Sorry, it's pretty close to as good as a KTM, you know, minus the hydraulic clutch, like this is a cable clutch, but it's pretty close to a KTM. If you're planning on buying this bike and keeping it stock, should you buy it? Absolutely not. It is not a good bike stock. It doesn't even drive properly, guys. Like, why would you want to buy a dual sport that doesn't drive properly? It will stall at lights. It's hard to start. It backfires. It's powerless. It's got no power to it. So yeah, I really don't think this is a good bike to buy stock. It needs these modifications. In fact, it should have came with this from factory. And then from what I'm reading, they haven't even rectified the problem. They don't have the L anymore. They call it the 450RL. And they still haven't fixed the issue. It's still stalling, backfiring, running lean. So yeah, that's just my thoughts on it. I really like this bike. I really love the look of it. With these mods, you're gonna have a really good bike. And then another project I got on the go. I'm sure you guys seen that in the background, and I'm sure some of you guys know what that is. Been looking for one of these for a while. It's a 2002 Yamaha Banshee. It's a million pieces right now. I got excited the other day and pulled it all apart. Right now, Banshees are ridiculously expensive, and especially here up in Canada, they're not very common as, you know, California. I think I read somewhere that 60 to 70 or 70-80% of the sales were in California alone. So that leaves us with, you know, 20% of the Banshees in the rest of the world. So Canada maybe has 2% of the Banshees. So yeah, I got this Banshee off a guy fairly cheap. It needed work. This is going to be a full restoration. I got the engine out here on the bench. So what we got going on is cylinders are good, really good cylinders. Looks like OEM pistons. I don't think this thing's ever been rebuilt. Compression was fairly low. I believe it was around 100 or 110. It was pretty low when we tested it. Looks like it got some Boyson reeds. That's pretty cool. But here's the problem. The clutch was very stiff. I'm still waiting on the puller to figure out what's going on. But if you look right here, I've got some serious play in this clutch shaft here. This bearing is spun. It's heated right up. In fact, I think I have the backer plate around here. Oh yes, right here it's in the vise. You can see it heated right up. The bearing heated up that backer plate. So this bearing's gone. I have a bunch of shavings in the bottom, so I'm going to assume that all the gears on this shaft are also gone. And I don't want to flip it over right now, but the output shaft, the sprocket was welded onto it. So now I also have to change the output shaft on this bike. Still not a bad deal for what I paid for it. The training costs, you know, $400 or $500, and this thing will be rocking and rolling again. I'm gonna get this all cleaned up. The plan for this bike is, I'm still not too sure, but I think I want to go black frame and all black plastics. I want a full merked out Banshee, I think. If I don't do that, then I'm just gonna go back with original colors. I'll repaint the frame silver, I'll keep the black plastics white, and then the front plastics black like the Orinoco. Not a big fan of it, but I much prefer to have an all blacked out one. Depends on money and the availability of plastics. Plastics for these right now, hard to find. Parts, hard to find. So it was nice to get a nice complete one here. All right, we're out here in the Middle Lake Tuning Fabric Warehouse. This is the YZ125 I picked up. You know, she's pretty greasy. She's got some gross things going on the reeds there. But overall, it's not in bad shape. Monoshock, first year liquid cooled. Look at the rad. Ever strange. It's on the handlebars. Got some cooling fins there. And it actually enters the frame down below here. Very strange bike. The plan is, as far as I've been told, the clutch is screwed on this. And that's it. It runs. That obviously doesn't run right now. It's frozen solid. I can't kick it over. But it does run. And I'll have to be swapping out the clutches and that to get it going for the $1,000 bike challenge. Okay guys, that concludes a little update on what I'm doing around here. Like and subscribe if you like this kind of stuff. Gives us motivation to keep going, filming the stuff that we're doing. And yeah, have a nice day, eh?